All right, Celtics fans, before we start today's show, let me ask you a question. With NBA training camp tipping off on September 28th, NBA season right around the corner, do you want nonstop Celtics news, breaking news, rumors, and updates? Best coverage on YouTube, maybe? Well, hit that red subscribe button down below because Celtics Today by Chat Sports is your spot. Let's get the 10K subs before the start of the season. What up? Welcome into Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Jay Sr. Coming up on today's show, we're going to have a little fun. So if you're too serious, get your panties out of a wad. We're going to take a look at 5 Celtics starting lineups that first-year head coach Ime Udoka could have at his disposal. And we have a name for each of these lineups. So let's start off with this one. It's going to be the all-up-in-your-grill lineup. Why? Because it's defensive heavy. Marcus Smart, one of the best defensive guards across the NBA. So too is Josh Richardson. I hate his offensive game, but the dude can certainly play defense. You get a little bit of offense from Jayson Tatum, who averaged 26.5 points per game last year, but is still a very elite wing defender. Jaylen Brown, I think he's one of the best two-way players across the league. And then Robert Williams, Time Lord, the high flyer, locks it down in the center position. So from all up in your grill and a defensive-oriented lineup to the fun and flashy lineup. This one is going to be a little bit more offensive-oriented. We're having fun with putting these lineups together, so let's take a look at the fun and flashy Celtics lineup as it leans more offensive heavy. Marcus Smart, he still gives you a two-way threat, but you have Dennis Schroeder in there playing the two guard because he can break you down off the dribble, be a little bit of a three-level scorer like Jayson Tatum. So too is Jaylen Brown, who had a masterful season last year, averaging 24.5 points per game. But what's the theme here? It's guys who can get up and down the floor very, very quickly and play that style that will kind of go by a break-your-neck speed. Robert Williams, the perfect evidence of that. High-flying big man who can block some shots, throw down some alley-oops in a little two-man game. That is our fun and flashy lineup. So out of the first two that we've talked about and broke down on today's show, which one do you like better? It's pretty easy to let your voices be heard. Type 1 if you like the first starting lineup. Type 2 if you like the other. Be sure to get those votes in the comment section down below. I think it's realistic for Udoka to kind of mess around with both if he wants to ride with both of those starting lineups. Celtics Today is presented to you today thanks to our sportsbook partner, BetUS. This is the best deal out there of any sportsbook in any part of the world. If you go to chatsports.com/bet and you enter the promo code at chat125, you get a 125% deposit bonus. What that means is when you put $100 in your account, you get an additional $125 back. That's $225 to wager with. And for my Celtics fans watching, have to be kind of pleased with how Mac Jones played in his first NFL start against Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins, albeit in a loss. But going into week 2, we're going to have 2 rookie quarterbacks who were drafted in the first round in a little bit of a duel here in New York at MetLife Stadium. Patriots 5-point favorites, over-under set at 43, so it's going to be a defensive-oriented game possibly. If you want to bet on that game or any other games across the NFL schedule or some NBA future bets, you can do all of that. Chatsports.com/bet. Enter the promo code CHAT125. How about the old man Al lineup? I'm excited to see what Al Horford can do in Boston as he returns to the Celtics. He put together so many impressive years with Boston, prior to that in Atlanta. He was awful for Philly 2 years ago, was okay for the Oklahoma City Thunder last year. I think he fits so well on the Celtics roster, and I think he's going to get a decent amount of minutes. But we're calling this the old man Al lineup because he's one of the centerpieces in it. Marcus Smart, Dennis Schroeder, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Al Horford. I think messing with Al Horford as a forward and a center, he can thrive and flourish at both spots. We've seen him do that throughout his great and very successful, full of winning NBA career. But for Horford to average 14 points per game last year as a big man, he allows you to stretch the floor, open up some driving lanes for Schroeder because he's a good guy who get into the basket, maybe some backdoor cuts with Marcus Smart, Schroeder, Jayson Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. That is our old man Al lineup. And then the let's shoot lineup. This is going to be a very heavy shooting lineup. And these last two, we're getting creative. Maybe we're even getting a little weird. But once again, the point of emphasis for today's show, we're having a little bit of fun in the slow part of the NBA offseason because teams are kind of taking a break given the rigors of last year with COVID protocols and all that stuff. The let's shoot lineup. Dennis Schroeder replaces Marcus Smart as the starting point guard, and he can play this role. I mean, he did it very well at times last year with the Los Angeles Lakers. The problem with Schroeder, he's just too inconsistent. But when you're paying this guy less than $6 million, I think that's a bargain. And when he's playing alongside superstars and Tatum and Brown, it opens up opportunities for him. And then Al Horford plays a little bit of a stretch floor. I still like stretch four, I still like Robert Williams as the center here because he kind of can just hang out around the basket and be very, very active down low, but Horford can shoot it. So too can Brown, Tatum. I'd like to see Schroeder be a more consistent shooter, but he can shoot it and let it fly as well. That is our let's shoot lineup. So another question for you, which lineup of the last two now do you like the best? Type 3 or 4 in the comment section down below. I'm excited to break down this fifth potential starting lineup for Ime Udoka. Brad Stevens, he's made a bunch of moves during the offseason, and maybe they haven't been the flashiest moves, but there is certainly positional and lineup versatility. That's why we're able to break down 5 different starting lineups. So this last one is the let's get weird starting lineup. Maybe some injuries happen. Load management happens, or maybe you want to have a free-flowing attack offensively and go a little bit small in a small ball lineup against another team who you can do that against. Jayson Tatum, Peyton Pritchard, Aaron Nesmith. Let's hope he takes a big jump after being a lottery pick 2 years ago. Jaylen Brown, given his size and defensive intangibles and defensive ability, can play a little 4 for you. And then Grant Williams plays the 5 as kind of a stretch big. So in this lineup, I kind of like Jayson Tatum playing point guard because, let's face it, at the end of games, Jayson Tatum is the primary ball handler. So I'm interested to see this upcoming season what Udoka does with the starting point guard role to start with either Marcus Smart, Peyton Pritchard, Dennis Schroeder, but also what is going to be his closing lineup. I don't think this is going to be a closing lineup. It's the let's get weird lineup, and let's have a little bit of fun to see what the young guys can do in Peyton Pritchard and Aaron Nesmith. So to round all of this out, our 5 potential Celtics starting lineups, the all up in your grill. Featuring some defense, fun and flashy. Let's run the floor, get out and transition on the break. Old man Al, let's see him let it fly from distance, but also mix it up down low. Let's shoot. Let's spread the floor, chuck up a bunch of threes if we're feeling it on any given night. And then the let's get weird lineup where Ime Udoka is like, you know what, Nesmith, Pritchard, let's see what you guys can do off ball with Jayson Tatum on ball. So before we get out of here, my final question for you today. Which lineup do you like the most? Sound off in the comment section. Rip me if you want. But most importantly, let me know which lineup you like. And lastly, subscribe to the channel. Let's get the 10K subs before the start of the season.